The clock strikes 12, I step into the haze. Whispers call me from 1,000 graves. Shadows dance in corners out of sight. I chase the unknown deep into the night. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. A flicker, a chill, a shadowed hand. The unseen lingers where I stand. Through creaking doors and empty halls, I hear the echoes of forgotten calls. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. And the eyes that watch from a place unreal, a touch so cold it makes you feel that near but hidden, veiled in shade. I walk with ghosts I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Author's Life from Idea to Manuscript. Currently, I am working on the People's Sentinel, the Soldier's Assent. I just literally, like 2 minutes before the show started, finished chapter 3. I'm in the process of doing the first edit on it. I'm going to pick up there. We're going to listen to it, see how it goes, make changes as I need to make changes, and then we're going to start up on chapter 4. I haven't come up with an idea for the chapter title for chapter 4 yet, but this is a chance for you guys to kind of see what I'm doing when I'm writing. Hey, Roxanne. And be able to ask questions. So this book takes place in Britannia after Rome had left. This is where the concept comes from. This book actually comes from the telling of the Welsh. This is original, where the idea of this book is from the original manuscripts that the Welsh wrote during this time frame. Most of these people in here are actual people who was alive and partake of this time. And a lot of these stories that I'm talking about in this book actually is written down by the Welsh as what happened during this time frame. So you guys can ask me questions as I'm working on it. You get to follow me along. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I thought it'd be a good idea to go ahead and do another one. Originally, the show was called um, Author's Workshop. I changed the name of it. I think this is like the 4th episode of it, called Author's Life, from idea to manuscript. I hope that you guys like the title of this show, but this is what's going to be called from now on. So let's pick up here where I'm going over the first edit of chapter 3, and you guys will be able to hear it the same way I can. If you can't hear it, let me know in the chat. I'll be looking over here at the chat from time to time, but I'm going to be paying attention to this and trying to catch any mistakes I've made. And this is the process that I do before I send it out to my INR readers. So you get to see all my steps from the time I start up until I send it out to the INR readers. So here we go. Let's pick up where I left off.
And that fear around and use it as my ally against such beasts. He got up and went to the barracks. He told all of his brothers what he had just learned. He then trained them in the shield wall technique that Gareth had taught him. He knew this formation would aid them in this fight and the fights yet to come. They trained and strategized well into the night. He did not want to lose any of his brothers, but the hard truth is that he will lose some. Even if it was not in this fight, there will be future battles that he will lose them.
Oh, before I forget, chapter 3 is called Iron and Fang. I forgot to tell you guys that. Sorry.
This way, training them in what he knew gave them a chance to live a longer life and aid Brittany against her enemies. Sleep eluded him that night. He got up before the others and went to the stables. Rockcal sensed him coming, and he pranced in place in anticipation of his new master's approach. Ivor smiled at him and loaded a cloth sack with some oats. As Rockcal ate the oats, Ivor petted his neck. We are about to face a most dangerous foe, my friend. I will need you at my side. Aid and defend me, and I will do the same to you. Rockcal nodded his massive head up and down. Ivor smiled and brushed him down with some hay. After everyone had their meal that morning, they rushed around getting ready for the long march. Haydn walked up to Ivor. Ivor, I have something for you, lad. Haydn handed him a heavy cloth bag that sounded like metal clanking together. He placed the bag on the ground and opened it. Ivor's eyes grew large at what he saw. He lifted it out of the bag. It was Brynjar. Haydn smiled at him. It was the giant's. The one that you killed. I had the blacksmith refit it for you. There was enough left over that he kept it as payment for his work. Ivor slowly ran his hand over it. He was now one of the most...
Oops, sorry, I forgot to do something so you guys can possibly follow along. Give me 1 second here. I just happened to think I forgot to do a screen share. There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Wealthy warriors now. Brynjar was expensive, and a warrior who owned one told others that he was someone not to mess with. Thank you, Haydn. I do not know how I could ever repay your kindness. Haydn laughed and slapped Ivor on the back. The force of the slap caused Ivor to lose balance momentarily. You owe me nothing, lad. It was yours as a right of battle. I knew you did not take it, due to it not fitting you. You earned that. Owning this means a great responsibility now. Your enemies will try even harder to kill you so that they can claim it as their own. Plus, you are now ranked as a warrior of reputation, and some will seek to steal that reputation by killing you. You must not let them take it from you. He helped Ivor put it on. Once it was on and secure, Ivor put his leather-baked chest armor on over it. He looked over himself, stunned at what he had now, and a new pride came over him. Haydn helped him put on his weapons. Then Ivor helped him get his armor and weapons on. As they walked their horse from the stables, everyone stopped and stared at him. Before them was a warrior of Brittany. A far cry from that boy not so long ago who snuck into their ranks.
I just realized I missed
He was now
something.
someone of reputation. The only one not...
Where was it? Where was it? Oh, no. Never mind. It was right. I just heard it wrong.
Ivor was locked. He just scowled at Ivor. He had always remained distant from him and spoke evil in the shadows to the others. No one listened to him, and it pissed Lot off even more that the others ignored his views. He spat on the ground and turned from the others. He went to the back and prepped his gear. While Ivor was finishing up, he recalled something he read when Gareth was teaching him to read and write. During the time of the Romans, before the area of Hadrian's Wall, there was...
Oops. I don't know why that got changed. Yeah, that sounds better.
Before the era of Hadrian's Wall, there was a legion known as the Legio IX Hispana. We know them these days as the Lost Legion. They were fighting the Picts in the Northlands, and they vanished without a trace. There was only one piece of parchment found, explaining what had happened to them. It was written by Titus Ursus, Primus Pilus of Legio IX Hispana, in the 3rd year of Hadrian's reign in 120 AD. This will probably be the last papyrus and entry in my diary. Our legion was ambushed in the wild realm called Caledonian Forest and was almost completely annihilated. Half of my first cohort is all that was left of the 9 Legio. We were pushed into the marsh, and we will probably die here, fighting bravely to the end in the name of Rome and the Emperor. We were attacked by a demonic pack of the barbaric Picts. They looked more like wild beasts than humans. Some of them were dressed in animal furs, painted with strange runic signs. Others seemed to be two-legged wild beasts. They tore us apart as if we were made of paper. I saw our legatus and my brothers in arms being eaten alive. I will never forget their screams. The barbarians attacked us unnoticed, quickly and with wild fury, then disappeared in the fog, mainly at night. Our shields, swords, and armor were no use here. The enemy we face seems to be the ancient wrath of some dark gods we have awakened. We should never invade these lands. I hear demonic howls. They're coming. They're coming. Ivor found himself wondering if this was what happened to the Lost Legion. Had these Kenriac been responsible for their
I just thought of something I'm going to change real quick because I want to make this different than the rest of the book. So I'm just going to italicize that for a minute. That way they know this is the actual reading of this papyrus.
Ivor found himself wondering if this was what happened to the Lost Legion. Had these Kenriac been responsible for their disappearance? It fits with the last documentation from them. If these things had wiped out a Roman legion, then what hope did we have against them? After all, the Rome armies were unstoppable, and all exploits in that area. The Roman armies were unstoppable, and all exploits in that area had been halted. They built a wall to stop what was there from coming after them. What chance do we have against such a force of nature? Then again, they are men at the core. We must not let fear control us. This is easier said than done. They set out on the march. It will take them a day and a night to reach their location. The march up until they stopped for the night was uneventful. There was no sign of raids, no farms or towns burnt. They decided to stop and rest. They would continue in the morning. Ivor took first watch with Gez, Lot, Pelham, Boort, and Enid. Lioners made a fire and cooked a meal for them. He was their cook and healer, along as being a warrior. They say he studied healing when he was younger, but was expelled when he was caught in bed with the lord of the land's wife. Ivor was looking out into the darkness. He felt an unease in the area. He did not like this place. It felt off. It felt like some dark magic had befallen this place. The warband ate and settled into sleep. The guards walked the perimeter of the camp, ever vigilant of the darkness. Ivor had noticed that he had not seen Lot in some time. Hearing something had happened to him, he began to ask the others. They all said that they had not seen him either. When he was about to wake Haydn, Lot came from the darkness. Ivor confronted him. "Where have you been?" Lot stopped, and he had hatred in his eyes. "What business is it of yours?" This angered Ivor a little. "It is my business, for you were not at your post. I will ask you once again. Where were you?" Lot spat at his feet. "I was taking a shat, now be off with you. I have no desire to mix words with a nobody." Lot went around Ivor and bumped shoulders with him. Ivor was about to challenge him for the disrespect that Lot had just shown him when a hand grasped his shoulder. He turned to see who it was. Gez was standing there. "Wait, Ivor, wait for another day. You both will come to blows soon, but for now, wait." We will need his spear when we face the horrors that await us. Please, for the love of the gods, wait. Ivor considered Gaz's word. He was correct. They would need his spear before this was through. But what? Ivor considered Gaz's words. He was correct. They would need his spear before this was through. But when this was through, Lot will answer for his disrespect. Very well, Gaz. You have the right of it. I shall wait, but something is not right about him. He is lying about what he was doing. He did not leave his post to Shet. He did not have the smell of it. He is up to something, and I hope we do not pay the price for it. They both parted and continued their watch. Ivor walked around the camp. He paused when he thought he saw something moving in the darkness. He stopped and strained his vision to see through the darkness. There it was again. Very slight, but there was movement. In less than a heartbeat, it was gone. He thought about waking the others, but after a time, nothing else had moved. He informed the others of what had happened. He told them to remain vigilant. Nothing else happened that night. During the morning meal, Ivor told Haydn everything that had happened. Haydn set his empty bowl down and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. We will need to keep an eye on Lot. I hate to say it, lad, but the two of you will have to face one another at some point. As for the movement in the shadows, I think it was just watching us. Whatever it was, I feel we will face it in the fight to come. Haydn took a drink from his ale skin. Let us get ready to move out. We still have about half a day's march ahead of us. Something dark has come to these lands.
In case you guys didn't know, during the time frame that this book is taking place, there's a very large misunderstanding of the religion of the area. Historians will tell you that they knew of Christianity during this time, and that's 100% completely false. They didn't know about Christianity at this time. They were still Celtic. Britannia, as we know of Britannia nowadays, which back then it was called Brittany, which means the Isle of Bretagne. They were still very Celtic, so they believed in the old Celtic gods, and they believed in battle, repetition through battle, and stuff like this. So that's why I'm writing this way. So a lot of people won't understand why I'm not mentioning, praying to God, or why I'm saying praying to the gods or whatever God you worship. That's because this was their religion during this time frame. So this is why I'm writing it this way. I do a lot of research when I'm writing historical fiction like this. It may sound like a historical fiction cryptid horror, but in all actuality, this is an actual historical fiction book. Even though it's talking about giants and the Celtic name for a werewolf, which is Conrioch, that's not a horror. That was actual stuff that they talked about battling during this time frame. And like I said, this takes place after Rome left Britannia. So in some concept, I can see where you think this is a historical fiction cryptid horror, but it's not. This is legitimate accounts from the Welsh people talking about what happened during this time. So you're going to hear about werewolves. You're going to hear about other mythological creatures. You're going to hear about giants and our character and the other characters fighting these things. Because during this time frame, the people, Vortigern's people, were fighting the Picts, the Scots, and the Saxons. This takes place when King Vortigern had invited the Sacs over to help them fight the Picts and the Scots, and gave them the land of Kent as payment. Then the Saxons turned around and went against the Britannians. So this is when this takes place. So this is actual. This is based off actual encounters and documentations from the Welsh people of this time.
Before the sun reached its height of the day, they reached their destination. They were in the region where Gwynedd met with Powys and Siluria met. Haydn stopped them. and what lay before them caused some to have nightmares dancing through their dreams. The ground was covered in the ripped, smashed, and chewed remains of men and horses. No human could have done this. What killed these poor souls was a monster. Haydn got down from his horse and handed the reins to Arad. He walked over and picked up a torn and tattered piece of cloth. He turned it around in his hands and then turned. He said something to Piers. Haydn motioned all around with his hand, then turned from him. Piers rode off, and Haydn climbed back onto his horse. He turned his mount around and headed north. Ivor thought about riding up to him and asking what was going on, but decided that he would let us all know when he was ready. They marched until the sun was high in the sky, and
I need to change something here where it sounds a little bit better.
but decided that Haydn would let us all know when he was ready. They marched until the sun was high in the sky, and Haydn stopped. He looked around and studied the terrain. They were on a hilltop, and it was open all around for a long way. He shouted out to us, "Set up camp here." Then he got down and walked around the area studying the ground. He noticed something, and he was reading the story that it told. Ivor walked up to him. The look of someone who did not understand what was going on was on his face. Haydn looked at him for only a heartbeat before turning back to the ground. "What is it, young Ivor?" Ivor stood straight. "Master Haydn, I know it is not my place to question." Haydn cut him off there. "Then why is it that I feel like you are about to do just that?" Ivor shifted his stance, now unsure if he should question the old warrior. "Well, I was wondering why we were making camp on top of this hilltop, with no cover for us, in case of an ambush." Haydn chuckled and still studied the ground, slowly moving around as he was following something. "Tell me, young Ivor, how many battles have you been in? How many times have you stood before an enemy wanting to empty your life force upon the ground under your feet?" "Only once, and it was a hellish thing to be a part of," Ivor said to him. "You have the right of it, young Ivor, the giant slayer. It truly is a hellish thing to be a part of. You are correct to question why we do not take camp in a covered area. Well, except for one thing. The Kinraic have been known to use trees to ambush their prey. Do you remember that place of slaughter that we came to earlier?" Ivor nodded. How could he have forgotten such a ghastly sight as that? "I do, Master Haydn. I do not think I will ever forget such a sight." Haydn smiled and looked into his eyes. "That is very wise, Ivor. Very wise indeed. Tell me what the area looked like." Ivor thought about it for a moment. It was in the woods at the edge of a field. "That is right. Those were the warriors of King Owen Iskethrig, the king of Powys. He and his warriors are mighty. They rarely lose a battle, and each and every single one of them has been hardened by many battles with Picts, Scots, and Saxons. Yet, something tore through them like they were mere children. I cannot promise that this decision will give us a better chance than those poor souls, but I want to be able to see them coming before they are upon us." Ivor thought about this, and he had to admit, this made sense to him. It was an advantage, yet it is a small one, it is one, nonetheless. He watched Haydn for a moment, then noticed what he was looking at. There were faint signs of something massive that had been moving around these parts. Then it dawned on him that Haydn set us up in the path of these creatures that they were sent to kill. "Master Haydn, are we looking at the tracks of the Kinraic?" He did not say anything at first. "You have gained some wisdom, young Ivor. Yes, these are the tracks of the Kinraic. We are camped in a location that will allow us the most successful opportunity to make contact with them. Here look at how we have the same kind of tracks going one way, but over here, and crossed over, these are tracks going the opposite way. Do you see them?" Ivor looked, and indeed he could see what the old warrior saw. Yes, I do. It seems as if they have come from the direction of rain." Haydn smiled and nodded. "Yes, you have the right of it. Go and follow this trail until you hit our borders. Return and let me know what you find." Ivor did as he was asked. He climbed onto the back of Rock Kell, and he followed the trail. It was hard to see in the tall grass, but he had seen the tracks, and he now knew what to look for. He had reached the borders of Gwyneld. There on the ground lay a man covered in blood. Ivor climbed down and slowly made his way to the man. He paused and pulled his sword when he realized who he was. It was a Scot. He was barely breathing. Ivor looked around and found nothing within sight. He put his sword away and knelt next to the injured man. He looked over the wounds and found they were large claw marks. Much like a wolf, but much, much larger. Ivor took out a water skin and a cloth. He began to clean the wounds and wrap them. He took his sword and cut down 2 long limbs. He took the man's mantle and robe. He made a pull behind the stretcher. As he was getting ready to pull the man onto the stretcher, he heard a twig snap behind him. Ivor froze. He began to listen to the sounds around him. He could hear heavy breathing. It was a breathing that he had never heard before. He slowly moved his hand to the hilt of his sword, careful not to make any sudden movements. He slowly turned his head, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw what broke the branch. It was...
I gotta fix that.
He saw what broke the twig. It was the largest wolf that he had ever seen. It was on all fours, slowly creeping up on him. This thing looked like a wolf, but different. When the massive wolf was within striking distance, it lunged. Ivor fell back and twisted, pulling his sword free, and slicing the ribs wide open, as the beast flew over him. The beast yelped as Ivor's sword cut deep into its flesh. It hit the ground and rolled. Ivor's attack caught it off guard, and it did not land on its feet. Ivor quickly got to his feet, forming a fighting base. His sword held in front of him, and his feet widened, cocked to the side. He reached for his shield, and he realized that he had left it on Raquel. He cursed under his breath. That was a mistake that he had hoped would not come back to haunt him. The massive wolf painfully got back to its feet. It looked at Ivor and let out a deep rumbling growl that Ivor felt deep inside him. The wolf began to circle him, and Ivor followed its every movement. He would not allow the beast to reach his flanks or back. Then the wolf did something that Ivor had not expected. It rose to standing on 2 legs. Popping could be heard as its front paws extended out into 2 large hands. At the end of each finger were long, black, sharp claws. "Kinriacht," Ivor said silently. The wolf roared and moved with speed so fast that Ivor nearly missed its movements. It charged Ivor with no time to come up with a plan. Ivor lunged to the side, and when he landed, he spun, swinging his sword, following the spin, and he felt it connect with something soft and hard. Much to his surprise, the wolf inhumanely changed its charge to follow Ivor's movements, but it had not planned on Ivor following.
That, why, Grammarly messed that up. I gotta fix this. I don't know why Grammarly changed that.
The wolf with inhuman abilities changed its charge to follow Ivor's movements, but it had not planned on Ivor following his movements with the swing of his sword. The tip of Ivor's sword sliced through the chest and right biceps of the wolf. Dark red blood sliced through the chest and right bicep of the wolf. Dark red blood began its path down the body of the wolf. It looked at what had happened. This warrior has landed 2 strikes upon it, while it had landed none. The wolf was cautious now. This was no regular warrior that it faced. There was something different about him. Like some unseen force guided his blade and mind. The wolf turned its attention back to Ivor. Anger grew within it now. It crouched down and began to circle this human again. Ivor studied the movements of the wolf. He was looking for the bulge of the leg muscles that would let him know that the beast was lunging for him. The Kinriacht was covered in dense muscles and stood well over Ivor. The top of his head only came to the lower side of the beast's chest. Ivor knew he could not fight this beast like he fought a man. This will be a fight like no other he has ever been in. Only the grace of the gods will allow Ivor to make it out of this fight alive. He could only hope that he would come out still walking and not lying on the ground, clinging to life. Ivor moved with the wolf and studied the movements. He was building up a strategy to fighting the things. Then the wolf stopped and looked at Ivor. fighting these things. Then the wolf stopped it.
Yeah, that's what I forgot.
He was building up a strategy to fight this thing. Then the wolf stopped and looked at Ivor. It did something that caused Ivor to about shat his pants. Tell me, warrior, what is your name? Ivor paused, trying to figure out if he should answer the wolf or not, wondering if it was his imagination or not. Then he decided that it would not hurt to tell the wolf his name. I am Ivor, spearman of King Vortigern. What are you called by wolf, or shall I just call you wolf? The wolf chuckled a deep chuckle. Then it sniffed the air. It smiled at Ivor. Ivor, spearman of the Brittany. I am Aed, son of Oisin. Why have you come to our lands, Aed, son of Oisin? Ivor asked, mustering every ounce of courage he could, trying not to allow the fear project itself in his voice. The wolf scratched his chin. Well, it is simple. Your kind has taken these lands by force, when the Romans left. We need such land to raise our families. We have come to take them for ourselves. Such is the way of our kind. Then the wolf remembered something. Ivor, I have heard of you. That name carries a reputation. You killed my friend, the giant known as Bran. I knew there was something different about you. I could smell it in your scent. You have the blessings of the gods. I will gain much reputation if I kill you, Master Ivor. Ivor shifted his stance, waiting for a surprise attack. You will find that difficult, Aed, for I wish not my death on this day, or anyone else's death. Aed chuckled and spread his long, muscular arms wide. Whoever wishes for their death. It comes to us all when it is our time. Today I think it comes for you. The wolf lunged, and without thinking, Ivor dodged the attack, and snuck the tip of his sword through Aeda's neck and out the back. He twisted the blade and yanked sideways. Blood fountained from the gaping wound.
Ew, I just realized a mistake there. Yeah, good.
Ivor dodged the attack. Ivor dodged the attack and stuck the tip of his sword through Aeda's neck and out the back. He twisted the blade and yanked sideways. Blood fountained from the gaping wound at Aeda's neck. Aed fell to the ground rolling, then stopped on his back. He grasped at his neck and began to shift back into his human form. The Kinriot known as Aed slowly stopped moving and passed from this realm.
So that is the end of chapter 3. So now we're going to work on chapter 4. And I have got to come up with a chapter title for this one. Oh, it is 20. Okay, so I'm going to fix that. All right. I got to come up with a name for this chapter. He's got to make his way back, and there's going to be a big fight. With the Picts and the Conrioch. For chapter 3 was Iron and Fang. This is one of the hard parts here. I started it a while back or so, but I wanted to finish Reign of the Draugr, Dawn of Armageddon. So I'm picking back up on this one now because I wrote myself into a bad spot on Saga of Grimson Book 3, Revenge of the Wendigo. So I'm taking a break from it, trying to figure out how to write myself out of it. So yeah, I've picked this one back up. Got chapter 2 and 3 written the last couple weeks. Now I'm just finished chapter 3. Now I'm working on chapter 4. So this is a fun one. even though the two books don't tie together, this actually takes place of the other book that I'm working on called the Legio Ninth Hispana Caledonian Forest. In all actuality, they could link together, but they're not. They're not part of the same series. It's a different book, but they, in a way, do connect together because it's based in the same area, just a different time frame. But a lot of what happened to the Ninth Legion, the Lost Legion, actually will take place in this book as well. And that's how it's going to tie together a little bit. But they are not in the same series. They are a separate series all in their own. In fact, Legio Ninth Hispana Caledonian Forest is not even a series. It's going to be a standalone by itself book, historical fiction book. And much like this one here, you would think it's going to be a historical fiction cryptid horror because of what they fight in that book. It's not. It's not a cryptid horror book. It's actual accounts by the Legio Ninth Hispana. And you know, if you was here earlier, the papyra that was read in here is actually the papyra that's based off of that book. And I'll play this small section here real quick to give you an idea.
There was a legion known as the Legio IX Hispana. We know them these days as the Lost Legion. They were fighting the Picts in the Northlands, and they vanished without a trace. There was only one piece of parchment found, explaining what had happened to them. It was written by Titus Ursus, Primus Pilus of Legio IX Hispana, in the 3rd year of Hadrian's reign in 120 AD. This will probably be the last papyrus and entry in my diary. Our legion was ambushed in the wild realm called Caledonian Forest and was almost completely annihilated. Half of my first cohort is all that was left of the 9 Legio. We were pushed into the marsh, and we will probably die here, fighting bravely to the end in the name of Rome and the Emperor. We were attacked by a demonic pack of the barbaric Picts. They looked more like wild beasts than humans. Some of them were dressed in animal furs, painted with strange runic signs. Others seemed to be two-legged wild beasts. They tore us apart as if we were made of paper. I saw our legatus and my brothers in arms being eaten alive. I will never forget their screams. The barbarians attacked us unnoticed, quickly and with wild fury, then disappeared in the fog, mainly at night. Our shields, swords, and armor were no use here. The enemy we face seems to be the ancient wrath of some dark gods we have awakened. We should never invade these lands. I hear demonic howls. They're coming. They're coming.
And that
Hyper found himself wondering if this was what happened to the Lost Legion. Had these Kenriac been responsible?
That was an actual diary entry from the Primus Palace of the Ninth Legion. So that's what, you know, the Legio Ninth Hispana Caledonian Force is based off of. But the things that the Roman army faced, and that all took place prior to them building Hadrian's Wall, which is a big belief that is why Emperor Hadrian built the Hadrian's Walls, because of what happened to the Legio Ninth Hispana. It's not historical fact, but all the evidence, the time of everything that took place fits with that theory that this is why Hadrian built Hadrian's Wall in northern part of Britannia, to separate what was on the north side of that wall from what Rome controlled in Britannia. So I believe I'm one of those, I'm a firm believer that's why that happened. So a lot of those creatures that the Roman army had fought during that time, in this Welsh telling of this individual that I'm writing about, this is actual, what this book here is literally based off of this Welsh telling of this character. So the things that it fought, the accounts that happened with this character is what formed this book, and that's what I'm doing it. So, I mean, there is some artistic embellishment in this book because I don't have a step-by-step of what happened with this character. In fact, his name in the beginning of the stories of him, they don't really have a name for him or how he came to be. They just have what happens when they eventually end up making him they end up calling him the uh, Dux Bellorum of Britannia, is what he ends up later on in the Welsh telling of this individual. They literally name him in there the Dux Bellorum of Britannia. So we're not there in this book yet, but beings I don't have a whole lot. They just said he was a spearman for Vortigern, and he had fought battles and gained reputation where he became the Dux Bellorum of Britannia. Then it goes on telling the rest of his story in more detail from there on. So, being this takes place before he becomes the Dux Bellorum, I have to do a little bit of artistic embellishment to be able to come up with a background with him off the small fragments that I can gather that the Welsh wrote. So that's kind of what we got here. Even though there's a historical accuracy to this story so far, there's also artistic embellishment because I've got to fill in the blanks. So that's what I'm doing. Is I'm taking the historical encounters or writings and filling in the blanks what I would perceive what would have happened with this guy during this time. But that's why you're going to see a lot of similarities between Legio Nithospana, Caledonia, and Fortis in this book, because both of them took place in the same area, and both of those books, they face the same things. So even though it's not the same series, like I said earlier, it's a separate series, and this is the first book in its series. So the People's Sentinel is going to be a series of books. It's not going to be, the Soldiers Assent is just the first book in this series. And it's the first book is this one here. The Soldiers Assent is the telling of this individual before the main story, which we all know who this individual is. I'm not going to say who it is, but we've all heard of his stories. We just heard it from the Catholic view and not the actual view of the Welsh who told his story. So that's all I'm doing is I'm making the first book is based off of that period where they didn't really talk a whole lot about him. Now the second book, when I write it, will be called The People's Sentinel, Deluxe Bellorum Prytani. That will be the name of the second book. I've already decided that, which will pick up where this book leaves off. So it's fun. There's a lot of research in writing in this one because I'm trying to make it as historically accurate as possible. There is names that I came up with in this book, but there's also a lot of names that the Welsh talked about during this time frame too that's in here. And we're going to learn through reading this that what we was told about this individual's life is not what we were actually told. And the people and how they were told and how we grew up knowing is actually different than what actually happened. So this is there's going to be controversy with this book. I'm not going to deny it because we're so used to the Catholic telling of this individual's life and not the true telling. And I'm actually writing it from the words of the people who actually wrote about this individual. And exactly how I'm writing it, as far as not his real name in the beginning, because they didn't say his real name in the beginning. No history, or very little history of him, up until, basically from a certain point in time in this individual's life, up until he became a spearman for King Vortigern, there's no telling of what happened to him. So I literally had to come up with my own version of that. Hey, Auntie. So this is why a lot of this is come, and I've already got, chapter 1 is pretty much that gap in between what actually happened to him until he became a spearman. Now, they never said how he became a spearman of King Vortigern. I had to make that part up. But from that point on, when he became a spearman, up until the book's done, is how they're talking about it. That's how it really is. We all were told bullshit stories when in historical facts, and it's not true what you've been told. Yeah, I'm freezing 41 degrees in deep. Oh, man, yeah, it's 27 degrees here, main house. Good to see you. Yeah, so I mean, this is fun. I love writing historical fictions, and the fact that this is a historical fiction that has, giants, werewolves. I mean, all these different cryptids and supernatural mythological creatures in it that they literally write that he fought. That's what makes it fun because it still ties into a lot with what I do, even though it's not labeled. So I mean, when I go to categorize this when I publish it, it's going to be hard because it's not a historical fiction cryptid horror, but it is a historical fiction cryptid horror. It's a historical fiction. It's raining and high winds. Been here, yeah, around tornadoes round 2. Yeah, we had that yesterday or so. We had severe thunderstorms that turned into tornadoes that turned into snow. I mean, the sun's out. Most of the snow is melting now. There's still a little bit of snow left over. But yeah, that all happened within 6 hours of each other yesterday. 27. Yeah, it's cold, main house. It's sleeting and snowing on me and Jess today. So weird. It's been like 80 degrees. Yeah. And it's going to be warm tomorrow for us. So we went from, several warm days together to it was warm when I started out yesterday and then turned bitter cold. When I woke up this morning, it was 16 degrees. Or no, I'm sorry, 13 degrees. It was 13 degrees when I woke up this morning. It's at 27 now. Even though it's 56 degrees inside my house, I went ahead and fired up the wood stove to get some heat going in here. It was this morning when, I was like, screw this. I couldn't wait no more. I was just walking around in a hoodie because I was like, okay, I can stay warm in a hoodie in the house with it being 56. But I decided to go ahead and fire up the wood stove, and that's what I did. So chapter 4, he just got through. And so this Connie Roach, this is literally what the Celtic called a werewolf. So that's why I've got it in there. And he just got through fighting the one that was named Oda. Now, it never says if they can speak words or not. So him speaking to Ivar, it was my artistic embellishment. I thought it would add a good storyline to this, where there's actually humanity because they are humans. I mean, they're just like the Ulfanar and the SWs and these other things. They're humans that wear wolf pelts that can transform into werewolves. Was 64 at 5 a.m. Temps have dropped since. Yeah, so you're getting what we had happen to us yesterday. So I've got to come up with this. See, Ivar was sent by Hayden to come up and follow the tracks of this werewolf. And he came across the Scot, which is weird because the Scots are their enemies. I mean, back then, the Britanni were fighting the Picts and the Scots and the Saxons. But yet Ivar decided to render aid to this wounded Scot that he found that was obviously attacked by this werewolf, Oda. So now I've got to pick up where he's now going to take him back to the camp, but I got to come up with a title. Then I got to look up a good little quote from that time frame, or a good quote that would fit with that chapter. So chapter 3 is Iron and Fang. So I got to come up with a good one because there's going to be a fight scene in here too. So this is where the actual warriors that Ivar's with is actually going to fight Picts and these Conry Yoch. Like me, only I don't need a pelt. Yeah. I don't think Death Has Come is a good one. The last one was Iron Fang. What do you guys think? Fang and Blood for this chapter? Does that sound like a good one? Fang and Blood? Because we're still fighting these werewolves, but now it's the war party that's going to be fighting them. Kind of see what you guys think on a chapter name. Do you think Fang and Blood? And this is the part I hate, coming up with chapter names. Got to be something that fits with this chapter, the storyline of this chapter. Eventually, the Scott's going to save Ivar's life, so I could put in here unlikely friend. That might be it. We'll go with that for now, unless we can come up with something else. I did like him throw sip. So yeah, I can't even say that. I did add something thanks to Roxanne and her infinite wisdom. I did write something. I did add an author's note to this in the beginning. And I've never done an author's note before, but she suggested it, so I added it in the beginning. So now we got that. I can't even say that last. I can't even say that. I can't use that. I gotta be able to say it and use it, man. Come on, man. I won't be able to see your comments at first, so give me a minute. I've got to look up some quotes and figure out which one's going to fit this time frame. So give me a minute. I'll be right back to your quotes or to your guys' stuff. Oh man, I must have got out of it. Um, my computer's doing a little slow here. Let me look on. Okay, screw you. I'm not. You're going to make me force me to sign up for something. I'm not using you. You're not giving me what I want. I'm waiting on this. While I'm waiting on this to load up, I'm going to take a look here. Make sure I didn't miss something from you guys. Okay, I haven't seen nothing yet. I'm still trying to find a good medieval quote. Oh, there's a good one. Yeah, we can use that one. Oh, you little hooker. Okay. The Shifts of Fortune Test the Reliability of Friends by Marcus Tullius Cicero. That's a good one for this time frame. What do you guys think? Ivor looked at the remains of Oda, and it was a difficult fight, but he had come out victorious. Ivar took the wolf pelt that Oda was wearing. He held it in his hands and looked over it. He decided that he would keep it and attach it to his mantle. So a mantle is what back in them times, a mantle, their cloak was known as two different names, mantle and barter, I think it was. So I chose mantle. So I was getting pretty windy there. Ooh. So when I'm writing about mantle, I'm actually talking about the cloak that they wore during this time frame. Um, let's see here. Roughly 5th to 6th centuries, through heavily romanticized, though heavily romanticized later, men wore a simple rectangular cloak, commonly called a mantle or filter. So I chose mantle because that was one of the common sayings of it. I got here too late to be trying to help out at all because I have no idea what. Oh, okay, yeah, Auntie. So this book is called People's Sentinel, a Soldier's Assent, and this takes place in what we know as Britannia. That's what the Romans called it. It was actually called Britannia back then, and so the people of Britannia fought against the Picts, the Scots, and the Saxons back in this time. And this story is based off the Welsh telling of a character that we know very well, but we know the Catholic version of this character that or this individual that I'm writing about. So I am literally have taken the Welsh telling, the original telling of this individual, and writing a book about it based off of that. Um, Back then, Christianity was not known to these people. They were still very Celtic. The Britanni were Celtic people. So a lot of this stuff is very Celtic based because that's how they were. So that's kind of the basis for this book. It's fun. This is the first book of the series. And although the Welsh have told the story, there's not a whole lot about this individual that was told until they dubbed him the Lux Spalorum of Britannia. So this first book of the series, A Soldier's Assent, kind of anti, yeah. So this telling of this individual, this book here is based off of that blank period. They tell that this individual was taken from his home, and then there was nothing told about him until he became a spearman for King Vortigern. So I've literally had to come up with my own idea of this individual's life up until the time he became a spearman and how he became a spearman for King Vortigern. So all that is literally, it's out of my head. I mean, that's straight artist embellishment. What I thought would be a very good likelihood of this individual's life, because they don't even call him by his real name until he becomes a Deluxe Balorum. That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it. So until he becomes Deluxe Balorum, we don't know his real name. I know what his real name is. I've already read the manuscripts from the Welsh people, but I don't want to give away his true name until I'm ready to write book 2. So, but yes, I mean, that is a good way to look at it. I may have, I don't know. I think there's only one person I told this about. But yes, this is his. Ivar is the. I came up with the name Ivar because, like I said, they don't give his name. They don't use his name until he becomes a Dux Balorum. So his whole time as a spearman for King Vortigern, up until he wins so many battles and becomes a Dux Balorum, they never mention his name. It's not until he becomes that. So I came up with the name Ivar, which is a common name that was used during that time frame. I haven't decided at the very end of this book. I may say his real name, or I may wait until book 2, which will be called Deluxe Blorum of Britannia, because Britannia was the Roman way of saying it. How the Celts actually called it was Britannia, which means Isle of Britain. So, oh yeah, I think I may have Auntie, but yeah, that's what this is about. So I literally just finished chapter 3 like 3 minutes before I went live. So the first part of this show was me doing, having it read out loud, making the first edits before I send this out to my INR readers. And so now we're in chapter 4, which is what we're going to work on during this show. We're going to work on chapter 4. And even though we had a fight scene here in chapter 3, because I'm setting it up for chapter 4 in the big fight scene with the war party and the Connor Yoch and the Picts, I had to come up with the name. Well, he rescued a Scot, which was unheard of because Scots were their enemies. The Picts, the Scots, and the Saxons were the Britannia's enemies at this time. But he found a wounded Scot and was nursing him back to health, or was rendering him aid when he was attacked by a Connor Yoch. And Connor Yoch is the Celtic name for werewolf. And he did, the individual that I'm writing about from history fought giants. And in chapter 1, you're going to hear about, or chapter 2 is where he fights a giant. And then now, but they talk about it. He fought giants, he fought werewolves, he fought large hairy creatures, he fought serpents, he fought mythological and supernatural beings. So all this stuff will be taking place throughout these book series, along with fighting the Picts and the Scots and the Saxons. Eventually, it's going to lead more towards Saxons, because that's when he becomes a Deluxe Blorum, is when he got noticed as Deluxe Blorum and labeled that after successful fights with the Saxons. But he still, during that time frame, had fought these creatures as well. So this is what this is based off of. The giant and now the werewolf is actual tellings of what he did. So that's a good question, Auntie. Thank you for asking that. And that's why I do these lives, so you guys can ask questions and see how I do things when I'm writing books and stuff. Because I try to keep things as accurate as possible. Even though it may be a fiction or a fantasy, there's still a lot of accurate facts of what happened. And that's just how my writing style is. I like truth in with fiction as well. So, and the reason why this is a historical fiction and not a historical book is because I have to do some artist embellishment to it because of the missing time frame. So I will never be able to label this as nonfiction. I have to label this as fiction because I did have to make it up. I have no way of knowing what happened during that missing time frame. If that makes sense. So his horse's name is Rock Cal, which means blood horse. Okay, that's the Celtic name for blood horse. Which I've just thought of it. I have got to make a footnote on that because I forgot to do that. So when you see me writing about Raquel, that's his horse's name. He won after fighting the giant. So he's gaining his reputation. Reputation was very popular amongst these people back in this time. If you had reputation, you had armor, you had certain weapons, you were considered very rich. You were considered a man of high stature. That's not a sled. It's a stretcher, damn it. Why did you change that? There we go. Hey, Corey. Okay. What the hell is going on? I am working on my current book, The People's Sentinel, The Soldiers' Assent, Corey. Quality over your weapon said everything about you. It absolutely did her. So during that time frame, you're absolutely right. People don't realize actually that mindset was a very, very old mindset that lasted for a very long time. You're just smoking in the corner and hanging out. Hey, I do this so you guys can ask questions, Auntie. I mean, this is you guys get to see what I do, and you can ask questions about the book that I'm writing on. That's why I do these lives. I think it's fun. It's a way for me to interact with you, my readers, and a way for you, my readers, to interact with me while I'm working on these books that you guys read. You got the broccoli. Oh, crap. I forgot to do something. Forgot to separate the chapters there for a second. Hell yeah. Y'all partake of the broccoli because I can't until I retire. If your weapon is the most important, you definitely need to carry an off-word sword. I know I would. Uh, I do not believe that type of sword is from this era. I believe that's later on during the Dane era, ain't it? I have a little lac diesel and forbidden fruit. Meteorite weapons were highly sought due to their heavenly origins. Yes, but they were extremely rare. Thank you, Auntie. I live vicariously through your actions because I cannot partake. Yeah, obsidian blades. I mean, you were pretty much a king or some religious figure in order to have it, because only kings and druids, priest type people would have that type of stuff. 9th to 11th century, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's after when this book takes place. Enact and can't remember where. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, high priestess or priest in royalty. They're the ones that had that type of stuff. But this takes a place around the 6th century. Um, so that the 9th and 11th is way past the time frame that this book actually takes place. Because this takes place not long after Rome left Britannia, and they were still very Celtic in this time frame. Elfbert, yeah, yeah. But this takes place not long after Rome left Britannia, so it's around the 6th century. Between a lot of this takes place between the 4th and 6th century, but this book is mainly 5th and 6th century, later part of the 5th century. Yeah, after the Bronze Age. Yeah. Yes, it was. I believe so. I believe the Dragon Stone was. Yes, Stone was that, but it was formed by a dragon and not a volcano. So yes, you are in a lot of aspects correct. Yes. Dragon glass. Yep, that's it. But I believe it was also called Dragon Stone. But yes, Dragon glass was a very common way of describing it. Absolutely. Man, I got some sleep last night, but I'm still tired, and the coffee wasn't waking me up, so I had to drink something. I'm not advertising it. I don't have a sponsorship with them, but I've tried something. I've been trying that Echelon. I tell you what, this stuff is pretty damn good, and it doesn't give me the jitters. It doesn't. I mean, it keeps me awake, keeps me alert, but I don't have a lot of negative reaction with it. So I kind of like it. It pumps me up. Wasn't it called Dragonstone before it was transformed and then called Dragon Glass? I could be wrong. I love ancient weapons. I used to train in sword fighting. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I love ancient weapons too. Um, hell yeah. That's funny. Oh, damn it. Fat fingers. So, Hayden is the lead warrior for King Vortigern, and he is kind of, hey Vicky, um, he is Ivar's mentor. So Hayden knows who Ivar truly is. He's one of the few guys who knows who Ivar truly is. So he's helping mentor Ivar to raise him to the level that what Ivar's going to become in the future. So that's why you kind of see this interaction with him. Welcome back, young Ivar. What happened on your scouting mission? Who's the Scot that you're dragging behind him? He didn't come out angry because he was dragging a Scot behind him. He knew there had to be a good reason for him because he knew Ivar. So that's why you're seeing this reaction here with him, and that's you'll when you read the book, you'll see the interaction where Hayden becomes not only his instructor, but transforms from instructor to mentor. Damn, I don't know if I'm spelling that right. That's not it. I can't spell for crap. That's not it. I got to cheat. Exhaustion. Oh, hell, I'm completely wrong. I was completely wrong. I got in trouble for imitating Beavis and saying how hard is your wood. Yeah, mine would do the same thing. No, we don't. Do you know what the skull and crossbones of the Johnny Roger flag really is, Corey? Or anybody else in the chat? Do you know what that actually meant and represented? The Jolly Roger, that famous pirate flag, the Johnny Roger. I'm kind of curious who in the chat knows the true meaning behind the Jolly Roger, the most infamous pirate flag out there. I'll give you a hint. It pertains to what I'm a part of. Anybody else got a guess? The Jolly Roger wasn't truly a pirate flag. It was a Knights Templar flag that they flew to let other Templars know who they were. It is actually the bones of John the Baptist. Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah. So that's a misunderstanding about history. The Jolly Roger was never truly a pirate flag. It was literally a Knights Templar flag that they flew, and it was the bones of John the Baptist. One of the things I learned while being a ancient free and accepted Mason. Yep. Yeah, people didn't know that. And see, the Knights Templar existed long after their execution. They were known by many different names, and one of the places they settled in was the Dutchlands. So they sailed on Dutch ships quite often, and during the time of piracy, they pretended to be pirates to hide from what they actually were. So they came up with the Jolly Roger. So when they flew the Jolly Roger, that let other Templars know, hey, I'm a Knights Templar. So they were doing their secret missions under the guise of being a privateer so that the crown and the church would never know who they truly were. No. Nope. They may have partaken a time or two in some privateering just to keep up the guys, but no, they weren't actually pirates. They were Knights Templar. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a bunch of guys are correct on that. So that's why I laugh. Like, my cut has the Jolly Roger on it, but it's got an eye patch. But that's what that means. That's the bones of John the Baptist. Huh. Back of my cut is this right here. That's the back of my cut. Most symbols end up hijacked by someone else. Absolutely correct. Yes. Yep. I learned that through my fraternity and joining my motorcycle order I'm a part of. When I got told about that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But you don't ever think about that. No one ever thinks about that growing up. Yep, it is. It is. It's a Celtic symbol. but it was hijacked by Hitler and the Nazi Party, which the Nazi Party was known as Antifa before it was known as the Nazi Party. I love history. I'm a student of history, man. I love history. That's why I like writing historical fictions, and that's why some of my cryptid horror books are historical fiction cryptid horror books. I love history. The whirling cross means hidden priest, fluid fire. I didn't know that. I've never heard of that. What's the whirling cross? I've never heard of that. The chromosome symbol are my favorite. My science teacher told me how to remember which is the X or which by just saying X marks the spot. These 7 heads of the Sumerian devouring the dragon, myths 1 scorpion, 2 whirling crosses, 3 leopard or hyena, 4 serpent, 5 raging lion, 6 rebellious giants, and typhoon the final wind. Huh. Damn it, quit. Before I go, or so, do you know what Medusa had on her head originally? I've never heard of this one. I've always known it as the snakes. Leave him alone. Come on. Come on. Okay. Quit fighting me. I need that location name. Thank you. I'm going to the one-eyed snakes. Okay. Give me a second. I've got to look up a woman's name from this time frame. So I'll be right back with you guys. Okay. Did I spell that wrong? Man, I could have swore I spelled that right. Let me look it up. Oh, I did spell it wrong. Hey, Roger. Just started the second page of chapter 4. We're just hearing the backstory of Cayenne and how Ivar came across him. How you doing today, Roger? I'm going to take a second from writing. Has anybody got anything exciting they're going to be doing today? Oh, we're almost at that 2 hour mark. We're going to call this one good. Did anybody got any questions about this book before we shut her down? Don't look like anybody's got any questions. Appreciate you guys coming in and watching me work on this book and your interaction with it. That's why I love doing this stuff. I love letting you get a chance to see me work on them. You like I said earlier, this gives a chance for my readers to see me at work and ask me questions on it. It gives me a chance to interact with my readers. I love listening to questions and answering them. When it comes to this stuff, it's fun. I mean, it's hard. I'm dyslexic, so you see me. I make mistakes quite often. So I've got several programs that helps me to try to correct those mistakes. So I've got a lot of stuff that I use to help me to produce a good quality book for you guys to read. And you'll see my progression from my first book up to the current one of how much I progressed, getting the stuff I needed to help me do it. So anytime anybody watches this later on that didn't watch it live, you got a question, put it in the comments. I'll answer it the best I can. Now there's still more to come. I'm only at 30 pages, 15,395 words. I mean, I still got a bare minimum of 39,000, 38,000 and some odd words to go before this book is done. So, I mean, I'll be working on this one for a little bit. This is the first book in the series, People Sentinel, the Soldiers Assent. And like I said earlier, this takes place during a time of that gap between the Welsh telling of this individual of history up until they start talking about it. Now, book 2 and on is going to be very much tied into the telling of this individual that the Welsh did. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's on an average somewhere between 18 to 20 chapters. It really depends. But on an average, it's 18 to 20 chapters per these books. I write a bare minimum of 54,000 words. That's going to be the bare minimum. I don't know how long this book is going to be. I don't know if it'll be longer than what my normal writing is or not. I haven't decided yet. Really depends on how it comes out, on how long it's going to be. So yeah, we still got at least 14 to 16 more chapters to go before we're done. And this is 3/4 of page 2. And we're only at 15,395 words. So we still got a long ways to go. When I do another one of these, shows, author's life, idea to manuscript, I may still be working on this book here. My last one was a cryptid horror, a modern day cryptid horror. This one here is a historical fiction. Yes, there is creatures in here that would fall in line with a cryptid horror. There's werewolves, there's giants. I mean, there's going to be stuff of supernatural entities that he faces. There's some things from mythology that he faces throughout this book series. But this book is not tied to any other books that I've written, although it has some ties to a book that I'm working on called Legios Knights Hispana, Caledonian Forest. It is not tied to it. It's just there's a lot of similarities because of location and of everything that the Lost Legion had faced is reason why it's going to be similar to this one. And that book actually takes place prior to this one. It's not the same. This will be a standalone series. It'll be a series all on its own, and it's going to be a historical fiction series. So we still got a long way to go. But I love doing this to give you guys an opportunity to see me at work and ask your questions about it. I love hearing my readers' questions on, why I'm writing this book and why I took the path I took to writing on it. How did I come up with the idea of this book? I'm a student of history. So when I find something from history that sounds good, that I'm like, man, I'd love to write a book about this, I'm going to do it. Even like I said earlier, even my historical fictions, there's a lot of historical truth to them books, but there's also a lot of fiction in them books because of what I changed in there to make it a historical fiction cryptid horror. So all of my books, even my sci-fi, there is truth in every single one of the books that I write. There is actual truth in there. And that's just my style of writing. And it seems to be good. I'm slowly gaining more readers, and the more readers I gain, the better the outcome is for it. So I'm hoping that one day that I get a larger following of readers, but that will come with time, and that comes with me producing good books, and my readers getting my books out there to other people. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for your help and your input and your questions on this book. I look forward to doing this again. Until next time, everybody, peace, love, and blessings to you all.
Shadows where whispers hum. The air is thick where the strange things come. Behind the curtain where the fearless go. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. Dare to tread where the darkness hides. Secrets linger and shadows grow. The walls may shift. shift, the ground may quake. It's a risk you take when the unknown wakes. Your pulse will race, your breath will freeze in this realm of uncanny mysteries. Dare to tread where the